A very good morning to Madam and my fellow friends. Welcome to our forum of today. I would like to thanks to all the arrangement in front of me. First of all, I would like to introduce myself as a moderator today. My name is Lauren 4. My number matrix is C20A1204. Our theme of today is heritage preservation. The place we choose for our discussion is Famosa, Melacca. Before we begin our discussion today, I would like to explain a little about Famosa. Famosa is purpose Melacca based now sightseeing spot, original contracted by Alfonso de Albuquerque. The remain of the fort is now crumbling whitewashed gatehouse in the local downhill from St. Paul Church. So, for panel 1, I have two questions for you. First is, why should we preserve the place? And question number 2 is, what are the steps taken to protect the place? And please introduce yourself first. Thank you.
My name is Muhammad Fadli bin Sabri. My metric number is C20A1140. I will talk about the importance of preserving historic building. Historic building must be preserved as a national identity. Historical buildings were built based on the influence and characteristic of previous ruler. For the example, building featuring Portuguese, Malay, and Chinese can be seen in the Famosa city that has a lot history to this day. In addition, a Famosa city can also cultivate a parallelistic spirit in the soul of today's generation. This spirit will born when the younger generation can feel the spirit of struggle of the country hero in defending their relevant homeland. The Famosa city is a testament to be people's struggle in the defending country from the colonialistic. Steps that can be taken to protect historic buildings such as Famosa city is that the government should allocate the special budget to protect a Famosa city. With the allocating of money, a Famosa city can be agreed to attract tourists and to keep the building structure stronger. In addition, private company or non-government organization can also help in the effort to maintain a Famosa city by promoting a Famosa city or provide assist such money to upgrade the financial such as sales center, press area, and so on to facilitate people who can travel a Famosa town. Production company also encouraged to make documentary relate to a Famosa city. This can be incredibly interesting and be able to convey information to the public relate to the history of events that took place in a Famosa city. This made the city of Famosa more famous and was able to attract the attention of the public to profit it. Thank you.
Thank you, panel 1, for the answer. Now, I want to ask panel 2 question. The question is, how we do preserve cultural heritage in our country? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nuraina Bihah binti Suharia Suhairi. My matrix numbers is C20A1622. Before that, I would like to say thank you to our moderator for the question just now. Along with the advancement of sophisticated technology, the cultural heritage in our country is seen to be sinking. Naturally, we as a Malaysian society need to play an important role in preserving the cultural heritage of our country. the care and preservation of cultural heritage of historic buildings should be done by various parties so that it is always relevant and remembered by the Malaysian community, especially the younger generation. However, the question is, how do we as a Malaysian society to preserve the cultural heritage in our country? I took an example from a relatively popular historic buildings in Melacca, namely a Famosa. These historic buildings need to be preserved by modifying it as needed without having to demolish and dispose of the historic building. The government should encourage and provide profit to any private companies that want to work together to help the preservation of historic buildings. In this way, indirectly, it is guaranteed to attract their attention to provide assistance for the conservation of a Famosa as a historic building in Melaka. Here, it can be concluded that it is not only important for future generations, but also important to develop the country from various sectors such as tourism. In addition, the government needs to allocate a special budget and funds in the national budget to preserve historic buildings such as a Famosa. With that, the money earned can upgrade a Famosa to attract foreign tourists to come and visit. Not only the government, but the school and the university also need to play an important role by holding a study tour program at a Famosa. For information, the entry features will be used to preserve and repair a Famosa. Financial resources for those who manage a Famosa also become more stable when many foreign tourists visit there. Finally, I hope that we as a Malaysian must work together to help in the conservation of a Famosa as one of the historic buildings in the country. Hopefully, a little sharing from me earlier can open the eyes of many parties so that we can together preserve the historic building of our pride. Thank you.
Thank you for explain. So for panel 3, here my question. Why is it important to protect archaeological site? And please introduce yourself. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Siti Ratu Miskia binti Muhammad Zulkifli, matric number C20A1460. Thank you for the moderator asking me the question. The first important is that historical building and monuments can provide example and lesson to the community, especially for teenagers who have a weak spirit of patriotism. Although some of the old buildings only show black event, but if we appreciate the history behind the building and take lesson from the black event that have happened, we will move forward without repeating the mistake that have happened by previous societies. For example, Kota Famosa in Melacca, a stronghold of the Portuguese army built after capturing Melacca, can be used as a lesson. This capture occurred due to the problem of unity, the weakness of the leader, and the weakness of the Melacca army itself. Our country can also be a country on par with other developed countries. If we do not take this matter lightly and take lesson from the history of our country, therefore, historic buildings in our country do not need to be demolished. Furthermore, in terms of tourism, historical buildings and monuments are able to attract tourists. Both local tourists and tourists from abroad visiting the country. The building is also a dominant factor for tourists travelling in the country. Therefore, historic buildings do not need to be demolished but need to be preserved and renovated. For example, old buildings should be renovated to become museums, art galleries, and tourist centers. This phenomenon is common in some European countries such as England, Italy, and even the Netherlands. Historic cities such as Oxford and Cambridge in England have managed to preserve most of their historic buildings. This effort is able to attract tourists from all over the world and is able to be a source of income for the country. In addition, the old buildings and monuments of Famosa also play an important role in the study of this country, especially for the student and research. In conclusion, historic buildings are very important in shaping the minds of the young generation in this country, especially toward the appreciation of the heritage and treasures of this country. Historic buildings and monuments are assets that should be preserved and inherit from the one in generation to another. Thank you.
So, for the last panel, I have two questions for you. Question one is, how long does it take to preserve the place, and what the agency involved in the heritage preservation in Malaysia? Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Shamimi binti Shui. My metric number is C20A1417. I would like to talk about two things, which is number one is how long does it take to preserve the Famosa, and number three is what the agency involved in heritage preservation in Malaysia. Famosa is one of the most valuable historical ruined building by the Portuguese centuries ago. This place is other short after attraction in Melacca that you should not miss if you visit Melacca. Okay, go back to our topic, which is number one, how long does it take to preserve of the Famosa. Okay, based on textbook sejarah Form 1 KBSM and my research on the internet, after Independence Day, and it was preserved until now. However, its architecture maintained recorded to the original design of the building. The story about the building of the city of Melacca was conquered by Portuguese in 1511 years, and the founder is Alfonso de Albuquerque to suppress the attack to Melacca Sultanate. They are immediately started to construction to the temporary camp as well as the main stronghold called the Fortaleza de Melacca, now better known as Famosa. The Portuguese took around 5 months to complete the building. Many of the labor died from the scorching heat and shortage of food. Now, the city of Famosa has been made one of historical place and interesting tourist center in Malaysia. Famosa is preserved by the Melacca State Government and Department of the Culture, Art and History, which is in Malay we call Jabatan Kebudayaan dan Kesenian Negeri Melacca. Point number 2, what are the agency involved in heritage preservation in Malaysia? There are a lot of agency involved in preservation, history, heritage and culture in Malaysia. In ranking world, we have UNESCO. In Malaysia, I would like to talk about 5 example agency. impressive history in Malaysia. Number 1, Department of National Heritage. Number 2, Tourist Malaysia. Number 3, National Archive of Malaysia. Number 4, Department of Museum Malaysia. Number 5, National Department of Culture and Art. All these agencies play a role in safeguarding and preserve Malaysia history and heritage. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks to all the panel for answering my question. Before I close today's discussion, I would like to add a little how we educate our children on heritage preservation. In my opinion, parents should emphasize on heritage preservation to children, which is teaching them from the early age about the heritage that exists in our country, such as buying a book related to how to preserve heritage so that they better understand how to preserve heritage. Not only that, parents should take their children to visit the heritage site, for example, of Famosa, so that they better know and appreciate the heritage and in turn preserve in the heritage so that it does not become extinct. Lastly, teaching visual communication for encouraging the creativity and imagination, while communicating with children, a useful platform development of strategy for conservation for the culture heritage is to increase the level of creativity during art education. Cerebral scientific investigation and some artistic efforts to try to determine the origin of imagination and creativity. After today's phenomena will be different depending on the original area of scientific or artist interest of individual researcher. Creativity is understood different from country to country and from culture to culture, and unaided is considered creativity as a crucial production. So, in conclusion, as we know this, preservation, preservation is very important for the future generation. Therefore, we must work together to preserve this heritage so that it lasts forever. That's all for our core group. Thank you.